Welcome to a Slice of Gaming special podcast episode covering all things the massive Pokemon League. I think we're calling the TetraLeak. At least that's what people
Yeah,
are
because
calling
of
it
like
here.
terraforms from like
Is that what it is?
the new games. Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought it was like
terraforms.
I thought it was just like terabyte because it's just so much data.
Maybe that's it. I don't know.
But
I think
yeah,
they just went with it.
yeah. So we're gonna just briefly go over everything, give our thoughts on what could have been in Pokemon, if we agree with their decision to either cut or change, and just everything. Just go over it all. Though we're not going to be showing anything in the video because Nintendo, I'm sure, is going after everybody. So we'll link a couple links in the description so you can see what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to join me here today is the only other Pokemon fan because we have no other Pokemon fans in the group, right? Right?
Yeah. No, Bob. He's not. If he was a real Pokemon fan, he'd have canceled this camping trip.
We know he's the Digimon fan around here.
Oh my god, dude! I remember when fucking people tried to gaslight me. It's like, oh, Digimon is better than Pokemon. It's like, yeah, okay, fuck off. It is not. Uncharted Wolf.
That's the name.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know. Very scatterbrained. There's a lot of stuff to get through.
Yeah, it's a lot of sort through. It's a lot of just Twitter threads and Reddit threads to go through of people compiling everything. And we're just gonna go through what we can find and the things that we remember, the things that are standing out to us, because we were watching all this as it was happening over the past couple days, and we were like, let's wait for a couple days before we talk about it, just so we can go over everything.
And
that's
it's already getting deleted.
And Nintendo and everyone else is already coming after it, so we're gonna do it as we do it now. And I think we're gonna try to go through generation as they did with releasing stuff, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be all over the place.
I mean, first and foremost, I want to start off like, Moon, what is your thoughts on kind of like covering these type of leaks? I see a lot of people have these types of opinions like, oh, you shouldn't talk about them because like, it was obtained maliciously. And kind of my opinion is the same I had during the Insomniac leak, and at least like what I learned through that process was, yes, all of this is very malicious. It's very bad shit that happened, and the employee leaked information is awful. We're not looking at that. We're looking at the leaked stuff that is already out there. We can't do anything about it as consumers, as like podcasters and like people in the industry. So what we can do is talk about what's out there.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit different because this is like ancient old stuff that's just sitting in the archives. Now, granted, that's no reason to go digging through personal data and data of a company to take it out. But at the same time, like if people have already done it, it's like you might as well just take a look. Unlike the Insomniac leak, where that's future stuff, that's the Wolverine game and probably other stuff relating to other projects that they're working on. Like, no, I don't want to see future stuff because I want to see that game when they're ready to present it. Whereas this stuff, like Gen 3, that's over 15 years old now, and it's doing absolutely nothing. It's just cool history to look at. Whereas, so yes, I don't approve of them going after it, especially because they also took like employee information and all that. But in terms of just looking at it and just pondering at it as a fan, be like, and just to look at peek behind the curtain of what could have been, it's an interesting thing to look. It's an interesting thing to talk about, but it's not great the way that it happened.
Yeah, 100%. And it's one of those things where it's like I hope maybe they can like try to figure out some way to just move past this. And that's the thing. I think they're going to move past this. I don't think like people thought, oh, they're going to delay the next Pokemon games because of this. No, I don't think that's the case.
No, that's not going to. The only thing that's going to happen is I don't even know if anything's going to. It's just going to be a fucking cool thing of like, oh, look at all these abandoned Pokemon, and that's all going to be it. The only thing that'll be interesting of it is if a new, like the next Pokemon game comes out and we see some new Pokemon and they kind of look like some of these beta ones. They're like, oh, cool, they saved that design and they used it later.
Yeah, because they do that a lot. I think there's like concept art of Tortuga from Gen 2. So
yeah,
they've done that a lot. Let's just jump right into it then. I mean, we have a shit ton to go through. Like I said, we want to try to do generation through generation, not only Gen 1 and 2, and we were kind of talking about that before the podcast. We kind of came to the agreement, Moon. It was very much seems like it's because we kind of already know everything about Gen 1 and 2.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
But Gen 3, we did not know a lot about, and we got a lot of sprites and concept art to go through. Do you want to go over the sprites or the concept art?
I have the sprites pulled up right now. I don't have the concept art.
So So the sprites, I'll be honest, looking at these giant list of sprites that someone compiled, I just want to immediately put my attention towards the starters. So we have Torchic with wings on his head, which we knew about that kind of beta design for Torchic. Trico looks a little different, but for the most part the same. But interestingly, Mudkip isn't here, and instead we get this rabbit with a pool floaty. And listen, I love this thing, but I'll be honest, I saw a lot of fake Mudkip fans on Twitter the other day, man.
The Mudkip fans came out in droves.
Where the fuck were y'all defending my boy Mudkip? Listen, I love this rabbit, but Mudkip's supreme. That's my
Mudkip's is great. Which, you know what's funny is now that I'm looking at him again, you know where this perfectly lines up, which I'm surprised they made him a starter and not just a regular Pokemon. He would fit perfectly for those kids on the beach when you arrive to not Mauville City, but the one before that, Slaterport. Because there are those kids on the beach with little floaty devices.
Yeah.
Like that would be perfect for those kids to have. But that's a starter. They're not going to give random trainers a starter Pokemon. So it's kind of interesting they made him a starter.
Yeah, dude, I remember when I first saw random trainer use like a Chimchar in a Diamond and Pearl. I'm like, you're not supposed to have that. What the fuck? Those are rare. The professor said I was special for having that. But yeah, no, I don't know. I'm a fan of this design. Do you think they would like go back to the well and use it again? Or I saw someone go like, they're not going to because they got leaked. It's like, guys, 90% of people who play Pokemon games do not know these leaks happened.
I think that's probably closer to like 95.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's not act like they're gonna just change their whole schedule and strategy moving forward because people saw it early.
Yeah. And even just by this design, it seems fully fleshed out and design wise, which like the small detail here where his tail is part of the floaty device. It's not like an accessory that he has like a Farfetch. Like, no, this floaty device is part of his body.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm a big fan of it.
I really like it too. I could easily see them like reincorporate this, especially now that we're in 3D and we're like in big open worlds where you just find this guy just floating along in a lake or something.
Oh my god, yeah. No, I mean, easily he's one of my favorite designs that came out of this.
But it's interesting going over these beta sprites, how it looks like not a lot of them were cut. They were just redesigned. Because if you look at them long enough, you can see their final versions in a lot of the Pokemon here.
Oh yeah, I mean, like right in the middle, you see Lombre and Claydol, and they look pretty similar to what the final versions were, just like little changes here and there. And a big one, I don't know if you see them on the very left, little in the middle, is Absol's. Yeah. Where they just removed the yin and yang, and I'll be honest, I much prefer Final Absol design because this one looks weird.
It's a little too edgy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's the yin yang. It's like duh.
Another one I really want to point out is at the very top right. That's the old like Blaziken Latios combination that we all thought was like, oh, it was just a beta version of Blaziken and Latios, but it seems like it was just a whole new Pokemon. Like,
I mean, it could still be like the Latios evolution from this beta Torchic. Could still be.
It looks cool as fuck.
It does, especially when you add in the idea of riding him.
Oh yeah.
We see like Electric and Magnetric did not change like pretty much at all. Very little small changes.
Electric a little bit. He looks a little like
derpier.
Yeah, derpier is the way to go. Yeah, but
Magnetric all just went from brown to black.
And then I love Trapinch. You see him like in the kind of middle area. He kind of does look the exact same. It's like, yeah, he's perfect. But what's really fucked up, I don't know if you see him like right in the middle, the Spoink and Grumpig. That Spoink looks. You kind of see like a beta Spoink. Yeah. I would have imagined that middle, like whatever Spoink is, that would have worked better as an evolution for Spoink, in my opinion. Because I never liked Grumpig.
Yeah, me too. Like, I am a Spoink fan, but I am not a Grumpig fan. But yeah, that's actually a lot more interesting in design with Spoink, especially when you take his lore into account. It's kind of more interesting design. What I find also interesting, down below, like at the very bottom next to Blue Grovyle over here, that looks like a beta version of Crustle, what eventually Crustle would be in Gen 5. Like, they had that idea for him. Except now they made it from a turtle to a crab to make Crustle.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. It kind of, I don't know why. Maybe this is like my brain playing tricks. It kind of looks like he has like a present on his back, like a gift box.
Kind of does look like that. Yeah.
Real quick on the kind of like third from the bottom row, you get some cast forms, and there was a tornado form, which I kind of wish we got that. That
I mean,
sounds
we
cool.
kind of do. I mean, we do have a slight it's a different where it's not his face is part of the tornado. It's like he's just a ball inside the tornado. So it looks like we
Yeah.
did get all three cast forms. They're just different. They just incorporated the design differently. We still don't have a peacock. We need that peacock Pokemon.
Yeah, that peacock looks so cool. That would have worked perfectly. Do you think it was kind of a case of like, oh, we can't really do much. Like, we want to do something creative and interesting with the peacock, and like, there's not much we can do
That
here.
just kind of just looks like a regular peacock.
Real
Maybe
quick,
that's
on the
might be
same
better.
row as peacock, Banette completely unchanged. It's the
Yeah, but that's
exact same
completely.
sprite.
Yep. This boxer monkey's kind of interesting though.
Yeah, I bet that was Slaking, like maybe a beta version of Slaking.
Black King or maybe what kind of divided into later Passimian and Oranguru.
Yeah, kind of like
Like those
that.
big monkeys. But they took
It
out the
is.
boxer.
And from here, I mean, what else is like really standing out for you? Swablu kind
Beta,
of looks pretty unchanged.
yeah, so I was gonna Hariyama is just like just a aesthetic change where it's the same idea though.
Yeah, and they kind of gave him wings. Maybe he was gonna be fighting flying or something.
No,
I
that
don't
just
know.
seems more like just like sumo decoration. Tropius, same idea, but definitely different execution.
Man, I hate looking at Tropius here. That does
What's
not look
interesting
good.
is his bananas are on the top of his head, where in the final design they gave him like a banana chin.
Yeah, like a beard, neck beard type deal. Oh god. And the fucking Yeti, I'm obsessed with this Yeti. Where he has like mouth on his feet. I want them to repurpose this design so badly.
Wonder if they repurposed that into Obama Snow.
Yeah, maybe.
And
The
there's also
Oxen,
like right next to Beta Flag on that could also be like Beta Bear Tick.
God, I'm trying to find Beta Flygon.
Right at the very top left.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, yeah. I kind of see what you mean. Oh, dude, you know what I just noticed? Speaking of repurposing, a bit next to the Yeti, you get this kind of like ice hippo looking thing. Honestly, I think that got repurposed to Snom.
Oh yeah, they took it,
I
made
kind
him
of see it.
less hippo, more bug. Yeah, that's almost like identical design.
But yeah, I
What does
mean,
it look like? Polyworld tuba looking thing.
oh, the Poliwhirl like with the like tongue neck thing, like the scarf around the middle.
Oh, where's that?
Oh, I think we're looking at different things then. It's same row as Absol. It's kind of like a
Oh,
frog with like a neck scarf,
oh
which
yeah,
has definitely Greninja. Like they were
yeah, early
purposed into
different
that.
frog. Now I'm looking at the Polytoad that's next to the Beta Latias, next to the Fire Crab. It looks like
Oh, I see what you mean.
looks like a Poliwhirl, but like both the evolution, they have like tuba designs in their design.
You know what? Okay, you know what made me think of? Remember Flood from Mario Sunshine? Kind of
Yeah,
reminds me of that.
it also reminds me of once again going back to Digimon. There's a Digimon that's a frog that has a tuba attached to him. So I wonder
Oh
if
yeah.
that's probably why they scrapped it because it was like, oh wait, this is too much like a Digimon.
It
And then
is.
we also have like Beta. It's like a weird cross between Bonsly and Pharaohseed. You see that little brown bomb there, brown
Oh
cheese
yeah, yeah,
bomb?
yeah. Right in the middle.
Yeah,
Same Rose Claydol. I don't know. I'm kind of a fan of that thing.
I am
I
too,
feel like
but
they
it's
put
too
more
much
work.
like Bonsly and Pharaohseed now.
Yeah, maybe they repurposed that one as well. It
You also
is.
know next to Beta Claydol, there's like this little bug thing, and there's like little baby bugs on its back. You see that?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah.
I don't like bugs though, so that's just like something that is just personally uncomfortable.
I kind of want them to repurpose that snow tree though. I wonder if that was probably got repurposed to Obama Snow.
Yeah, right next to Absol, there's like kind of like a cut tree stump Pokemon.
Yeah,
Maybe that was supposed to be Trevenant, like an early
Phantom.
Trevenant.
Yeah.
Phantom, yeah, that's it.
Oh, and I bet you next to two away from that tree stump, that little sad looking blue thing. Wonder if that got repurposed to like Primarina.
Oh my god, I see what you mean now. Because that does not look like a Pokemon. That looks like a Digimon.
Yep.
And then right under the peacock, that little chicken that looks like a bowling pin. And apparently it was kind of going to be a thing where like that was a new Pokemon that was like a bowling pin, not chicken. I think it's supposed to be a penguin. And Spheal was like a bowling ball. They would hunt them.
But that thing next to the peacock kind of looks like Beta Breloom because of the tail.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of cool concept art here. I mean, like again, it really shows how much they repurpose these designs for future generations.
Yeah, because you even see I forgot someone pointed this out on Twitter, but yeah, like there's like Beta Scraggy like there at the bottom where he's a blue lizard wearing his skin. See
Oh
that?
yeah. Yeah, no, I see what you mean.
So yeah, they
That looks
definitely keep
sick.
like every design and just go return them. Like, okay, can we redo this?
Yeah, let's figure out something, try to make it look more different and interesting. Current, make it fit better with the art style that we're moving forward with.
Also, Pelipper has mad vibes with that haircut.
Yeah, dude, he looks like a punk.
Um,
And then I want to move on to the concept art if you're interested to
yeah,
go
if you can
there.
link that. I don't think I have a direct one for
Uh,
that.
it should be in the podcast docs. I think I put it in
The Reddit or the Twitter?
the Reddit. That's
I
a
think.
Gen 3 concept art. These things look raw as fuck.
Oh yeah, this is
uh,
like early design of like if they were going for a much different style.
I mean, the immediate one for me has to be Cacturn. I really
Oh
wish
yeah.
this was the Cacturn we got because, like, I don't hate Cacturn, but I just don't think about Cacturn. You know?
Yeah, Geiger's just kind of one of those forgettables. Whereas now, if this thing were to just be chilling in the desert, like waiting to stalk you, like you just run up
Yeah.
to it, because this thing is not mobile. So this thing is a very sedimentary Pokemon that doesn't move very fast. It's tanky, but just imagining running to that in the desert.
And right before Cacturn, I don't know if you saw a discussion around this like stone tablet looking thing. People were kind of expressing thoughts like, oh, maybe it was supposed to be like a missing no, like official missing no, which is
I
just
don't know
like,
about that. It just seems like another Pokemon that you would stumble across the desert, because the desert, especially in Gen 3, was such a big thing, and they were going into like the ancient vibe, and this would just be like something based on obviously ancient ruins, and here's a living
mhm.
Pokemon ancient ruin.
It really feels like maybe they wanted to go harder on the desert, and it was just like,
Yeah,
just keep it a one route.
'cause almost all of these are like things you would find in a desert.
Like this scorpion thing, like the very first one. I don't know, dude. Imagine seeing that shit in a Pokemon game.
Obviously, like they would tone it down. Like it's interesting that the concept art goes so dark and serious, and then they got like, okay, now we got to kidify this.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up when we get to. I'll bring it up now. I look at this concept art and I read some of those mythological stories, which we'll get into in a bit. It seems like Game Freak really, really wants to make an M-rated Pokemon game. Like I feel like that's just something that's like within the company. Like they're just like, oh man, if we could, we would.
It's like we're just gonna hide it in Pokedex lore.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting though. Like this, the first one, the little skeleton bug thing. It kind of
Mm-hmm.
looks like, at least the first picture on the very left, almost looks like a beta design for Wimpod.
Yeah, Wimpod. I get a little bit of Scorpy as well. I don't know why.
Or yeah, any kind of like just four-legged bug almost.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is almost looks like a sand version of Clamperl, like a desert version.
Yeah. I love the little guy coming out of it like, hello.
Yeah, it's like they probably granted there's probably a lot of designs like this, because it also that just gives me a lot of vibes from Gimme Ghoul.
Yeah. And the
And then
very last one looks awesome, where it
and
has
then
like little tusks coming out.
these last two things, these aren't Pokemon, these are monsters from Monster Hunter.
Oh my god, exactly. Going back to that first image of the Gen 3 sprites, the very next image, and it kind of transfer it over to Gen 4. We got some Gen 4 beta sprites. Dude, Licky Licky is the first thing I look at. It's like, oh my god. And you mentioned this. It's like, oh, that's why he needed to learn rollout when he evolved. Because
Yeah,
that would have made way more sense.
it makes way more sense. And I wasn't the one that came up with that. I saw that at because this like Lickit Tongue Evolution, the Cricketune, and these sprites were like one of the first things that come out. And that was
Yeah.
just one of the first replies I saw, and I'm like, oh my god, that makes so much more sense. And
So
I'm like, why did they not change that once they changed his design? Because Licky Licky that we have now does not look like he's rolling around
I mean, we both agree the old Licky Licky looks better, right?
in every way. It's just a more interesting design, where Licky Licky that we have now is just fatter, taller Lickit Tongue.
Yeah, it's like I don't hate him, but I just don't think about him. You know, like, he's not a Pokemon
Lickit
I
Tongue
like.
himself is more
Yeah.
memorable than Licky Licky, but that also might just be Gen 1.
I think Gen 1 bias, but also it's just like, hey, you got a big old tongue. There's something interesting about that.
I mean, we could say that about a lot of the Gen 4 Pokemon that got evolutions, like Magnezone's awesome.
Dude, I love Magnezone.
Gliscor, and why am
And
I
I feel like
blanking on every Gen 4 evolution right
Weavile
Weavile.
looks fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Honchkrow. But then you get there's like weird ones like Probopass. Like no one thinks about Probopass.
I kind of think of Probopass. Oh,
I mean,
but the big
I'll
ones
think about
like
Sorry, go ahead.
Electivire and Magmortar are definitely some of the more memorable ones.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, going into Fat Cricketune is incredible. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I prefer him, but I kind of prefer him. I feel like I would think about him more.
Can we have both?
Yeah, exactly. Like, just have it be a split evolution. Or
Imagine
maybe
that
a male
becomes like
female.
imagine that becomes like an element in future Pokemon games. You know how like in Legends Arceus and I think even Scarlet and Violet, they kind of reference, oh, this is a small one, this is a large one.
Yeah, yeah.
Like now imagine they incorporate this one's obese, this one is this one's
This
super
one needs
thin.
to hit the gym. I love also. It seems like Rotom Wash was originally going to be like a sink.
Now, what this more reminds me of is the washer that has the water or the lid on top, and you open it from the top to put the
Oh
clothes
yeah,
in. Which I'm thinking the reason why they changed that, is, as a lot of people pointed in the comments, it looks more like a toilet.
yeah. Rotom toilet would have looked weirder than a Rotom like washing machine, I guess. And I think they
Yeah,
wanted to go stick with a more traditional washing machine design that like is more recognizable, I guess.
I think it's more just they realize because they're not all washing machines have the front end where that's what we have now with Rotom Wash is he's a front end washing machine where that design is more of a dryer. But there are some washers with that design, so I get they just want to go with that because it was more distinguishable than what we have here with the oh this thing looks like a sink or a toilet.
Yeah.
And it's interesting with like Rotom mow form, like he has like the full handles of the mower here.
Yeah, no, that was a weird, like just like tiny little design decisions. Like Frost is like a bit fatter. Staraptor is kind of looking more closely, but other than that, kind of unchanged. I'm obsessed with Hodgepro with glasses. Like I
I
love
don't know if
that
he has
shit.
glasses or if that's just like a nice mustache.
I
I
think
think
it's
it's a mustache.
glasses. I don't know because I saw most people say it's glasses. I mean, I could try to open the
I
image
mean,
and
either way,
zoom in.
I do think this is a better Honchkrow design.
Oh, I think you might be right. It does look like a mustache if you zoom in. Huh. Man, I don't know. I kind of like it. I'm into it. It's just like a
Yeah.
Hodgepro with a very cool little mustache.
It's also interesting with like Skuntank's design. Like he did not change at all, but it's just the pose that they gave him, and I kind of prefer this one. It's more threatening.
This Giratina, I'm assuming this is supposed to be a Giratina, like an old version of Giratina. I don't know. What you think that looks kind of cool?
Yeah, almost like a pre-evolution or something. I don't know.
Um.
Or it could be entirely different Pokemon. I don't know. Is it so vastly different?
Oh, and also we got to talk about the Beta Team Galactic designs on the very bottom.
Oh yeah. Well, they're all wearing. I don't even know what they're wearing.
Before we get into like, I mean, we got to talk about like kind of a lot of the lore for Gen 4 that was cut. The very obvious one with the mythological stories, and then also like the actual like building of the universe lore. Which one do you want to start off with?
Whichever one you link, because I got none of them right here.
Yeah, I don't got any of them either. That's why I'm kind
Oh.
of stalling for time.
I think most people have agreed that these stories they sound like something that would be in the books in Canalave City in the library, because that's where a lot of that stuff, at least the ones that made it into the game, it sounds all very similar. Though obviously more tame versions than the one that we got.
I mean, we could talk about the stories right now. You don't remember most of them. There was a lot of crazy shit that happens in them. Something about an octillery.
The man
Dude,
in the artillery and
the
there was a
artillery one is so funny to me because it's literally just a guy walking on a beach. He sees an artillery. It's like,
yo.
interesting.
What's even crazier to me, at least from just a writing standpoint, is the fact that it changes from a story about a man who has a relationship with an octillery. The octillery has a kid, and then the kid goes off to slay a bunch of Ursa-rings. Like, there's like such a big disconnect between these two stories. At least from what I remember, 'cause I don't remember reading too much of it, is the whole story of him slaying Ursa-rings has almost no relevance to his origin. So it's like
Yeah.
it's just like two completely different stories.
The other stories, it was Typhlosion is the one that really got popular, or at least like picked up. Everyone was just saying Typhlosion attended the Diddy party. Man, Pokemon community, they love to run jokes to the ground.
Oh yeah.
But it was funny, just like everyone freaking out about these stories, and it's like, guys, they were cut for a reason. Like it was like, oh man, those guys are freaks over at Game Freak. It's like, yeah, they cut them. But like I said earlier, it really feels like they want to make an M-rated Pokemon game.
I don't know if even that would make it, because that might be going too far.
Yeah,
I think this is just them just doing a creative writing exercise and then seeing what they can do with it. Granted, these stories, they'd have no relevance to the actual games. Like even the ones that made it into the game almost have no relevance. So it's just like, what is it even the point of these libraries and these stories that you can read when I would assume most people who played the games didn't even read them.
Yeah, they're mostly flavor text just to show it's like, oh wow, we used to eat Pokemon, stuff like that. And then also we had that giant lore dump of the entire Pokemon universe.
Just
I'm
how
trying.
everything was created. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. Like, I will say the most interesting aspect of all of that was that pseudo legendaries. If you remember, it's like a fan made term. Like that's not actually technically a thing.
Yeah.
They're actually just considered legendaries, and Gyarados is considered one of them.
Yeah, I think I remember reading something like that where certain Pokemon were considered quote unquote pseudo legendaries, and they were just, and that's why they have some better stats, and they're just like better Pokemon in general because they're made to be not legendary, but like the step before it. And I think even Rapidash was supposed to be considered one at one point, but that might be just an anime thing.
Yeah, I think Rapidash was like debated. Arcanine was the one that
Oh,
was like way
Arcanine too,
debated.
yeah. Maybe I'm
Um,
mixing up Arcanine and Rapidash.
dude, it was such a cool line because it was like something like or Arceus was born and he used the blood from the Titans he murdered to create Dialga and Palkia. And apparently Dialga and Palkia are married.
Oh,
Like they
okay.
canonically procreated. I it's just like one of those things that's like, God, I kind of wish this was all official, but like also there's stuff like about blood of Titans. So it's like, okay, maybe not for an E-rated game, they could have released it. But it definitely seems like something that they created as a almost backdrop. Like maybe it was something that they used internally to kind of use as like a map for how they want to handle the lore of all the other creatures going forward.
Yeah, because I haven't really looked and I don't see anyone talking about it, but it seems like lately, yeah, as of the past couple of games, the Pokemon lore and the Pokedexes aren't as wild as they used to be, like in Ruby and Sapphire.
Mm-hmm. If you're ready to move into the next generation, I think that was everything from Gen 4. I'm trying to find some other stuff.
Because there wasn't really any like, was there really
Oh,
Gen or
there
sprites
was
from Gen 4?
Heart Gold and Soul Silver source code got leaked, and apparently there was like little things like the gyms were gonna have different designs based on which type was the actual like leader of them. Nothing too crazy though.
Yeah.
I will say source code for everything getting leaked. It was Gen 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I think 7. I might be wrong. I think no, Sun and Moon were like untouched. Actually, they weren't able to get Gen 7 stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it seems like they were able to leak all the source codes. Doesn't mean too much for someone like stuff like us, because like we don't know what to do with that. But it means that it would be able to get like recompilations of those games where they can effectively create PC ports, like official PC ports of the games, and make them run substantially
Yeah.
better. And ROM hacking is a lot easier for them now.
Yeah, like we're gonna see like a boom in ROM hacks now because people are gonna make ROM hacks of those newer games because really they were all stuck in like Gen 3 for a majority of them.
Yeah, Gen 6 especially is going to get a lot, I bet.
Which is also interesting because I saw it's funny that you bring up like a PC version, but I saw people trying to make a PC version of Legends Arceus, and they said it was running pretty well, but apparently there's like some very specific Nintendo code that they didn't have, and that
Yeah,
it needed to
with
run.
Nvidia,
Yeah, so
which makes sense.
it would be really interesting to see like if they crack that or change that in any kind of way, so we can have like a Legends Arceus running on PC that's performs much better.
Mm-hmm. But moving into Gen 5, so I just want to talk about the character profiles before anything else. Holy shit, some of those character profiles are fascinating of like where they base their design on. The biggest one for a lot of people was Skyla. People were freaking out when they learned that Skyla was based off Jennifer Lopez and she was meant to be a big titty Latina.
Yeah, like Pokemon knows what we want.
And it's like, hey, mission accomplished. Dude, the amount of fucking Skyla fan art has boomed in the last week when they learned about that. It's like fan artists got excited.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see how in depth do they want to go when so many of these gym leaders are just they don't do anything. They're just there to be the gym leader, and you don't see them, and then you fight them, and you never see them again. Yet they're giving them this like crazy backstory and description.
But moving into the Gen 5 beta sprites, it seems like it's in the same thread, by the way, as before.
Yeah,
There's some that first Pokemon is fucking awesome. I'm sad that they cut him. I don't know what he's supposed to be, but I love him.
Yeah, so I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if this was almost like a beta version of what eventually became Tomoe.
Oh
Big,
man.
big bipedal armory dragon looking thing.
I
I
hope
wouldn't be,
not, because I hate that thing.
but yeah, we even
No,
see
I think
like
you're right.
I almost kind of prefer this Servine and Superior design, even though it's
Yeah.
blue.
No, it look. I see what you mean because it's a lot more regal looking for Superior.
It's interesting that a lot of these are just kind of almost recolors. Like they almost have the design down to what eventually became the final version, but they're just like experimenting with colors.
Yeah, I mean, Hydreigon is probably one of the bigger redesigns. It's funny because Dino and Zweilous look the exact same, but then Hydreigon just completely shifted. Instead of being a bipedal, he flies.
Yeah, and then everyone loves this little water thing that I don't know what even animal we would base that
I think
on.
it's an axolotl.
It almost is kind of like so, except instead of like those branches, it has these bubbles. And
It
everyone
is.
loves this thing. I saw so much fan art of him.
It is weird that we don't have an axolotl Pokemon.
It is when axolotls themselves look like Pokemon already.
Exactly, yeah. And then Reshiram and Zekrom, it seems like they pretty much. It's funny because like with them, they pretty much got everything down except like coloration and their faces.
Yeah. And then I love this bear tick design of it, like the arms on the hips, like just like a disappointed mom.
He looks so sassy. And then Emolga just straight up just has Pikachu's face slapped on it for beta purposes, I bet.
Yeah, because wasn't Emolga like the first of the Pikachu clones to not be very close to Pikachu in design? Because we had like Plusle and Minun, and then
I mean,
what was the Gen 4
Pachirisu.
mount? Pachirisu.
I think Pachirisu's
Yeah,
different enough, yeah.
I guess, yeah. It's just more like you went with Squirrel instead of Rat, and whereas
Yeah.
Granted, Pachirisu and Emolga look very similar, so I guess you're right. Yeah, maybe it was Pachirisu.
I mean, moving into what was his name? Basculin. I love the fucking wings and coloration of this Basculin so much more than what we got.
Yeah, it's like they can bring in another one because we have two versions of Basculin. Might as well have a third. Bring in this
Yeah.
one.
No, Basculin Legion I love, so it's like, oh man, it'd be cool to get more Basculin stuff. But from
And I love the meme that came around with this. I think that's right below Archeops, this purple thing. Like I have no idea what that thing is supposed to be.
dude, that's so funny. Um,
Although I prefer this Carablast evolution that we got here than what we actually got.
Oh yeah, where it's like a bit more. I don't know. Yeah, Carablast is one I don't really think about.
No, like that whole line, that both the Carablast line and the Excelgor line and the Scavalier line. Yeah, you don't really think about or Shelmet. Yeah, that was the name. Yeah, you don't think about those too much.
And then I mean, do you have any other sprites you really want to focus on? Like, there's this like weird Tornadus. Like maybe it was supposed to be another genie, or maybe it's a
It
beta
almost
version
looks
of
like
Megris.
what eventually, well, at least because of the coloring of the pink and purple, almost looks like what they eventually came with a Namarus.
Yeah, no, I actually see what you
I still
mean.
need to go catch. I never caught an Namarus.
Dude, me neither.
Arceus.
I
I do
love it.
find Fat
Sorry, go ahead.
Simisear
Oh yeah,
would have
way
added a lot.
better.
Yeah, it's a lot better. Like honestly, it would have made them stand out more if they were like all different shapes and sizes instead of just being color swaps, pretty much.
Yeah, because the whole gimmick is supposed to be it's like, oh, it's see no evil, hear no evil, say no evil, and it's like Simisear. This could be like, don't eat no evil, you fat fuck. I love Terrakion, by the way, where he has kind of like ram horns. It seems like the trio used to be a lot more like based off specific beasts.
Yeah. And then you got another form of Scraggy. So it's like they've had this Scraggy design for a while until
It seems like, yeah.
eventually until finally they said him like, okay, we finally got him in Gen 5.
And the beta Gen 5 trainer design, where it's like I prefer what we got. Well, I prefer Hilda. I think I actually kind of like this male trainer design more than the
Yeah.
what was his name? Hilbert.
And he's looks so edgy.
Yeah, it kind of looks like what they would do with Black 2's trainer though. But I think that's it with Gen 5 beta designs. There was this, I don't know if you caught it, the Gen 5 opening cutscene. Apparently there was a lot more scenes to it.
I don't think I watched that, but
Some pretty cool stuff. I mean,
I'll have to check that out later.
It showed a lot more of like N's backstory, I guess, in that opening cutscene where like him hanging out with Pokemon.
That's not surprising. That there was a lot more to him.
Um, I think we're ready to move into probably the biggest bunch, which was Gen 6 leaks. There was a lot here. Specifically, we were talking about earlier. Gen 6 seems to have basically been way cooler in the planning stages.
Yeah, like when you put all of this together, it almost seems like um Gen 6 could have been like one of the best games.
So I just put it in the podcast docs. One of the big things is Southern Kalos, which
Yeah.
was effectively something that was kind of talked about for a while in the Pokemon community. But it seems like it was going to have 2 towns, 2 cities, 4 dungeons, and 8 routes. And the island on the right was called Battle Island. So it was actually going to
Channeling.
have a post game.
Yeah, some kind of post game or any kind of game that we do.
Exactly. Because Gen 6, you look at Gen 6, man, it feels unfinished, even when you play it.
I mean, the biggest one is right there in your face with that electric plant that
Oh, God.
that was went completely unused for the most part.
There was also real quick, I just want to mention, apparently they were gonna have the low HP music from Black and White in Gen 6, and the remix sounds fucking awesome, but it already got deleted, and I'm pissed.
I'm sure
But
someone saved it somewhere.
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try to look for it later and send it to you, but it was like a really sick version of the Gen 6 like trainer battle theme with the low HP like thing they were doing in Gen 5. And I'm like, why did they cut it? Like it sounds awesome.
Because haven't they gotten rid of the HP music in like newer
Yeah,
games?
they completely got rid of it.
I think too many people got too stressed out from it, and
I
they
think
just, like, they cut it.
it was that thing of like being annoyed when you would fight like a champion or like someone with a very unique and badass battle theme, and then you just hear the low HP music. It's like, oh damn, this removes a lot of the hype. Also, in the music files, you pointed this one out, Moon. They straight up just had a Lady Gaga song in the music files.
Yeah, which I mean, yeah, that's what you would do in stuff like this, where this is the vibe you want to go for. So it makes sense that, and as even you said, the final theme does kind of have a very similar tone.
Yeah, it's more electronic, a lot more kind of like EDM focused, which was
EDM,
kind of
yeah.
what they went with Gen 6. Um, Here we go. Some more stuff from the discarded X and Y features. Create your own custom gyms. Players create their own original gyms and share them online. Other players can attempt to conquer these gyms. Once a gym is conquered, the gym leader and NPC version of the player can join the player's gym. The gym leader can be placed as a member of their original gym. It very much sounds like this kind. You remember in Oras where they had a feature kind of similar to this with the like, what were they called? Secret hideouts, and you could kind of create your own gyms, but it was kind of a bummy version of that. It seems like X and Y was going to have a real version of that.
It almost sounds like they retooled that to what you do with Pokemon Go and like the gyms there in a way.
Yeah.
Because this
No,
just sounds
100%.
like a hassle. Because especially when you're like joining a gym, that just sounds like a big community thing, and I just don't know if the Pokemon base has the support of that. Whereas Pokemon Go is a lot easier to base something like that around instead of like a console game.
Mm-hmm. And there was also cool stuff with regards to the beta and camera angles. It seems like they were going to have a way more dynamic system. I don't know if you saw the video.
Oh, yeah, I think I played it for a little bit, but when I watched a couple, I'm like, oh yeah, look at those interesting camera angles and how it changes everything.
It seems like it was mostly cut just because like the 3DS probably wasn't going to be able to handle it very well, and like there would have been a lot more lag, so they couldn't stick to 60 FPS. I kind of assume that's the real reason. But yeah, I mean, Gen 6 is like, it seems like all those things we talked about is like Gen 6 very much were supposed to be some of the best Pokemon games.
Like they had a lot of ideas, and it's just so much of it got cut. And Gen 6, you're right, that's the Mega. So we got to talk about the Mega discussion.
Yeah. I mean, Mega Jinx got cut.
Mega Jinx, yeah, is so far the only Jinx. That's what they say. So overall, Jinx is the only Mega that ever got cut because there are no other cut Megas in Oras either.
There was definitely something in the like concept phases for sure.
Oh yeah, that's like it's like the asterisk you have to put to that statement is Jinx is the only Mega that was coded into the game that got cut, which I'm pretty sure there was a bunch of other ones in concept art and all that.
They mentioned Mega Flygon once in like an official interview. They were like, "Yeah, we tried something with Mega Flygon, we couldn't make it work."
No, you were, damn it.
Yeah, you didn't know. I'm sorry.
No, I think I knew. It's just one of those things I just kind of forgot about. I'm like, and it also makes sense where Flygon should.
I mean, Oh, sorry, Moon, you still there?
No, yeah, I was just gonna say like Flygon just feels like one of those Pokemon that should have a Mega.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's still a chance with Legends ZA, which we'll get into in a bit, but everything in regards to what we're hearing about the Mega evolutions in Gen 6, it seems like they pretty much had everything they wanted as it was going. There was an early design, I don't know if you caught it, for Mega Mewtwo, and I think it was supposed to be Mew 3. I think they literally, in the documents, it was called Mew 3. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
think
there's much to say there.
no, it just sounds like what as they were trying to figure out what they wanted to do. It's like, is it another evolution? Is it like a temporary thing? And that's what they eventually settled on. It's like, yeah, it's a temporary evolution.
Yeah.
And
Also, this X and Y beta type chart, this is insane to look at.
I never
So,
fully looked at it. I kind of just glazed at it. Let me look at
so,
this.
well, I can just say what the major things were changed. Ice was originally super effective against Fairy, and Ice resisted Fairy. Fire was super effective against Fairy. Poison was neutral against Fairy, and Bug was weak to Fairy.
A lot of those make sense, but what's interesting about that is like the whole dynamic ice, like the triangle of ice, fairy, and dragon would have been if that were the case, because both then
Yeah.
ice and ice being strong against both dragon and fairy would, which ice needs that boon. Ice is like one of the weakest types.
That's the thing. Ice sucks, so I would have been fine if it was like it's good against Fairy and it resisted Fairy. And Fire being super effective against Fairy isn't too surprising because it already resists Fairy. But I will say Bug being weak against Fairy is like, okay, come on. Bug types do not need all this like trouble right now. And Poison being neutral, it seems like they were like, Poison types don't have much, so let's give them something. So let's make them super effective. But that is funny to look at. It's like how much the type charts change whenever they add a new type, which is very rare. Like they've only done it once since Gen 2.
Yeah, yeah, because they added Dark in Gen 2.
There's also some cool concept art regarding like I don't know if you caught it, the Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre concept art.
Yeah, weren't they like almost pretty much the same
Uh,
as what we got in the final?
well, more so just like as a concept art.
Oh yeah, the concept art looks awesome.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome as shit. And then, also, we didn't mention this earlier. We might as well mention it now. The name of the GS ball, you were talking about this, has finally been revealed. What was it? Hang on.
It's like, yeah, I posted it somewhere, but I can't find it now.
Plus new Celebi lore. Oh, it was called Generation Symphony Ball.
Yeah,
or Sympathy.
Sympathy, yeah.
I don't even know what to do with that.
Apparently, yeah, like, what do you even do with that? Apparently, there was like this whole thing that was supposed to be around Celebi. Like, it was supposed to be like an event, and it just never happened. What was that big takeaway here?
And apparently, Celebi was originally origin of his name was based off celebrate.
Yeah,
and it's like in the Earth of the future, hundreds of thousands of years later, humanity has not gone extinct, and all the other plants and animals continue to live in a rich natural environment. And it seems like Celebi's from that future.
Yeah, apparently, like the GS ball was supposed to be like this big crossover between the anime and the games, where you were supposed to get the GS ball in a game, and it was supposed to contain the Celebi from the movie, and it was just this whole thing that they were going to go for, and then they just dropped it.
Yeah, probably issues in regards to like scheduling, conflicts, the animation team, probably something like that, because there's a lot of stuff to juggle at once. I think that's it for Gen 6, though, unless there was anything else you wanted to point out.
Unless I come across something. It's like we only posted like every other big development.
Yeah, really. Gen 7, nothing. Do you think this was a case of it seems like it was because they were locked out of Gen 7 before they were able to get into it?
Maybe it's possible, and maybe there wasn't. I'm sure there's a lot, because there's always going to be like beta designs and whatnot. So yeah, they probably just got locked out of it.
Are you a little upset because it's like, oh man, it would have been cool to see like what they were thinking of with Gen 7, or is it like, there's not as much there? I was really curious about Gen 4 and 5 specifically.
I mean, it's always interesting because we know of some stuff that was cut. Like there was supposed to be a whole thing with the golf Elite Four girl. Like you were supposed to go up on the mountain and do like this whole golf trial, and that got cut.
I would have killed for her because Kahili is one of those characters where it's like she just shows up. It's like, oh, okay, hi.
Yeah, hi, I'm an Elite Four member.
And like every other one of the Elite Four members you knew except her. And
yeah, because her her whole section was like, you could see it in the map on the game, where if you go to that resort, you can see like where it was supposed to be, like next to
Mhm.
the resort, this whole like golf trial. And yeah, I'm guessing she was just a whole another section of the game and they cut for whatever reason.
So that's everything in regards to Gen 7, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Obviously, that also means we
Maybe
don't get
maybe we'll
anything
get it
big.
another day. Like maybe something else will happen and we'll finally get those beta designs and anything else that might have been cut.
Maybe Game Freak's like, fuck it, just have it. We don't care anymore. But yeah, I will say real quick before we get into the new stuff, or at least like the Switch games and whatnot, I wanted to ask you, Moon, did all this make you think like I kind of wish Game Freak would just release like a concept art book or like just like here's a book of ideas? Because there's also one thing we haven't mentioned yet. There was a lot of like old interviews and meetings about the games and like project planning and like kind of Masuda's plan for Gen 3. It's like, oh, this is what we want to do, where the origin of double battles came from, and just like discussions across the team about all these ideas. That seemed really interesting. It's like, damn, they could like make a killing if they sold all this as like a concept art book.
Yeah, and I think I'm pretty sure well, granted, Game Freak's also like weirdly closed off, but I
Mhm.
think the other reason that they probably don't do something like that is like as we've been saying, they reuse a lot of stuff. They come up with something and be like,
Yep.
maybe not now, and then they reuse it later. So, granted, is it really that big of a problem if you have this Generation 3 version of Scraggy that you didn't use and then you use it in Gen 5? Is it really that big of a deal if it's in a book?
Yeah. No, it's one of those things where it's like I feel like only the hardcore fans would notice that stuff, and like you're gonna be fine with like having them know, and then most casual fans go in and it's like, oh wow, who's this brand new Pokemon that I've never seen before?
Yeah, and even then, like a book like this would only appeal to the big fans. Like granted, I'm a big fan, but I wouldn't buy the book. But I'm just not an art book kind of guy.
Yeah, no, I mean I probably get it just because I love peering over that type of stuff, but I totally get like even the biggest fans are like, just not my thing.
Like I would rather just you just give me some brief summaries on a Twitter thread and I'm fine. I'll be like, oh, that's cool. Don't need to spend the 30, 40, $50 on an art book for it.
Oh no, bro! They're gonna say $100. You're paying money, baby. They spent they put a alarm clock for $100. Nintendo, they don't care. But yeah, we don't have much from the Gen 8 games, obviously, or Gen 9, other than source codes. They got the source codes for ZA, Let's Go, all that stuff.
Yeah, someone said they
Um,
played through ZA or at least like a very early beta or alpha version of it.
yeah, so
Positive things.
it was effectively like he said, like, oh, it's good so far, but I won't spoil anything. It was just incomplete stuff like side quests and whatnot weren't in the game yet.
Yeah, so he's played at least like the main game of it. Sounds like it.
Yeah, and it's like I'm glad that it's not leaking it. I will say it's weird that he's like I won't be leaking anything about ZA, but the personal information of all the employees that I will leak. It's like why? What a dick.
Yeah,
Um,
I was about to say, good on him for not leaking that out. I'm like, oh no, he just released all the employee stuff. Fuck you.
we don't have to like sit here and go like, man, this guy's so cool. It's like he's kind of a douchebag, but hey, what are you gonna do? We can't do much about it. But we get to talk about some stuff related to future Pokemon projects, specifically Legend ZA. Originally planned to release in 2024. It seems like very much it was officially a delay internally. Well, officially internally, you know what I mean. But it seems like it was meant for this year and they actually delayed it. Do you think that was in result of Scarlet and Violet feedback in regards
it,
to the
it
incomplete
has
launch?
to be because normally I mean, I think we obviously can see that Game Freak doesn't care. They put out a Pokemon game, it sells millions, and that's what happened with Scarlet and Violet. Like they should have known that it's not a game that's up to par, like
Mm-hmm.
performance wise, but they didn't care. I think they're finally starting to see, oh, this actually is affecting our bottom line. Like Pokemon maybe could have sold just a little bit better if it was a better game and people would recommend it. But now that it was a glitchy mess, there'd be I think positive or not positive, but like just general reception of a game is a lot more predominant in the industry now. Like where even a
Yeah.
company like Game Freak will now take note of people trashing your game on Twitter and whatnot.
You have to imagine like maybe the like company heads and stuff is like, oh, who cares, it still made us money. But like people in the actual company, like even a Masuda, they you work hard in the game. It's like, oh, they are really not happy with the performance, and they probably weren't happy with the performance. And it was
I
like one
think
of those. Oh, sorry,
I
go
think it
ahead.
might even be like a less of a they're not happy with the performance thing, but there's got to be like some pride thing when
Yeah.
your Twitter is just full of clips of the game breaking and people pointing and laughing at these game breaking bugs, and those like infamous when the first game came out, like the character's eyes were like bulging out like a cartoon character.
Yeah, and the game is good. That's what sucks about it, because like this was
Yeah,
like the first mainline Pokemon game in a while where they were really experimenting and actually doing new ideas with this open world format. And I loved so much of it, but I was just playing it the whole way. I'm like, oh, if this just ran better, if it actually like they spent the time, if it was delayed like 6 months even, it was
just to
ridiculous.
iron everything out. Yeah, like what was funny was I just watched Alpharad's video yesterday where he went on a quest to catch everything, and just watching that again, like if you just listen to his presentation of the game of like what happens, I'm like, oh, this is a really cool Pokemon game. There's so many old Pokemon that came back. There's a lot of content here. There's like a lot of post content, especially when you add on the DLC. But it was just you couldn't play the game half the time because it wasn't functioning properly. Like there was the final battle of the second DLC that you have. It was just a glitchy mess. Like you beat the game and the game literally froze.
I haven't it's been a thing. I have played Nintendo games since I was like 5. That was the first Nintendo game I have ever played where the game crashed. And I was genuinely shocked when I saw it. It's like, the game's not working, close the product. And I was like, what? I've never seen this screen before. I was shocked. I've had games crash on PlayStation all the time, but like a Nintendo game, like they are usually very strict about like making sure those games release well. And I bet that's also maybe something that came out where Nintendo talked to Game Freak. It's like, hey, you guys need to figure this out because you're starting to affect our image.
Yeah, it's got to be a thing because I'm pretty sure I remember seeing this game has crashed on the Switch before. I can't remember if it was Pokemon, maybe some other game. But yeah, it's very true. Games crashing on the Switch is very rare.
But moving into the stuff that was actually a summary of every leak related to the future projects, if you have that tab open. Pokemon Legends.
I saw, but I don't think I have it here.
I can send the link again. There was another thing that the leaker pointed out. A Stunfisk is in the game. So it's like, hey, if you're a Stunfisk fan, there you go.
Hey, I love me some Stunfisk.
But yeah, originally planned and released in 2024. Will feature Mega Zygarde and Mega Zeraora. We knew Megas were coming back. Mega Zygarde makes a lot of sense. Zeraora? Interesting. I'm kind of into it.
Zeraora, that was around the time when I stopped like really caring about Pokemon, so he's just kind of a thing to me. But it really feels like Zeraora, they're trying to make the next like Lucario, Zoroark, that like one Pokemon from a generation that kind of keeps coming back.
It feels like Zeraora was meant for Gen 6, honestly.
I think so too. And they also, I think Zeraora was also in contention for like Smash and Pokken. So it's like this seems to be a Pokemon. And he was like one of the first ones in Pokemon Unite. So this is definitely a Pokemon Game Freak really likes, and they're like, "You're gonna like this Pokemon."
Yeah, which is funny because I feel like no one cares about him. Like it feels like when they try really hard to make a Pokemon cool, rather than like Lucario, where it's like, yeah, that thing's just cool. Like that's just a cool Pokemon. Well, but like Zeraora, it's like they're trying to like, guys, look at him, guys, look, he's in Unite. It's like, no, I don't care.
No, to be honest, that's what they did with Lucario. They introduced Lucario in a movie before his generation came out.
That's fair. So
it is definitely the same tactic. It's just Zeraora is not sticking like Lucario did, and even Zoroark to a degree. Not as much as Lucario, but I think Zoroark has stuck more than Zeraora.
I think my problem with Zeraora is just the yellow. It looks so weird. I feel like if he was like black for his base form, it would have been like, oh, okay, this thing's sick. But he's just like, he stands out so disgustingly with the yellow. But I'm also not the biggest fan of yellow, so who knows. Pokemon Gaia, codename, which is Gen 10, which, hey, guys, they're making Generation 10. Holy shit.
They're making another Pokemon? What?
2 versions, K and N, which is just the Japanese names.
Yeah,
the main theme.
Hoping this would be like the start of them dropping the 2-game shtick.
Yeah, no, you're not. You're gonna stick with it. I mean, why would they stop? That's the thing. They get a lot of sales of people buying both.
Yep.
The main theme will be island exploring in an archipelago. So a lot of the theories right now are Greece. And then in development for Switch 2, but a version for Switch 1 is also being tested. Not a lot to go off of, but I think a Greece Pokemon game is kind of overdue at this point.
Yeah, it feels like, and I'm just kind of worried now we're gonna get like the Pokemon versions of the Greek gods, and I'm just like,
Oh
I'm not
man.
ready for Pokemon Thor, Pokemon Zeus, Pokemon Loki, and oh no, those are Norse. Never mind. I got my switch.
I was like, wait, you said Zeus. It's like, okay, Thor. Like, wait, hang
I was like, no, I was just going down the Marvel list.
on.
No, but like Greek gods. No, I was bouncing
Medusa.
between. Yeah. Oh yeah, we got to get some kind of like snake Pokemon, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's gonna be a bug rock type, and it's gonna have like a petrify unique move, and oh yeah,
It's
there's
such
got to
an
be
easy
some kind
layup.
of, that's too easy. How do they not do that?
I will say this thing about in development for Switch 2, but a version for Switch 1 is also being tested. A lot of people are trying to point that out as like, oh, there's going to be a lot more cross gen. I kind of just look at that as like, well, yeah, the Switch 1 is being tested because I bet the next 3D Mario is going to be tested for Switch 1 and then released on Switch 2 exclusively. There are more Switch 1 dev kits than Switch 2 dev kits, so it's easier for them to just get it developed for Switch 1 and then have the exclusive release for Switch 2. But also, Pokemon games, they stick on their older platforms a lot more than other Nintendo products. Like Black and White 2 came out on DS a year after the 3DS came out. So I don't think there's much to gauge off of that specific
Yeah,
thing.
it's just the them saying, well, the Switch has a giant install base and Pokemon has a giant install base, so we want to not cut off this install base by having it be a Switch 2 exclusive. So if we can get this thing on the Switch 1, we're damn gonna put it on the Switch 1.
Yeah, and also, I mean, imagine the amount of SKUs if you have a Switch 1 version and a Switch 2 version.
Oh
Like,
god, of both games.
that
Oh
would sell so much.
yeah, so that I kind of hope they fail and it does become a Switch 2 exclusive, because
Same.
that just means they put the work into this game to where it's such a higher end game that they usually make that it can't run on the Switch 1, which is what you kind
Yep.
of want to hear as a consumer.
Oh, no, 100%. But yeah, that's everything Gen 10 related. I'm glad we didn't get a lot because I don't want to know. Like, I want to hear when we actually get Gen 10. You know, like we were saying with like earlier, it's like, yeah, I'm fine with like leaks of like the older stuff that we're never going to see the light of day, but the new stuff I don't want to know too much about. And then Pokemon Synapse. This was an interesting one. A new multiplayer Pokemon game. Collaboration between Ilka and Game Freak, their relationship still seems strong, has been described as a Splatoon-like, not an MMO. So yeah, that was kind of a funny thing. When this first came out, it was kind of rumored to be an MMO Pokemon game, and everyone was excited. And it's like, oh, no, it's not. It's not. It's actually a Splatoon-like. And then everyone got less excited.
Yeah,
What does a Splatoon-like?
I think that just means it's going to be a team-based thing where you have to do an objective. That's just what it sounds like to me. Is like you're going to have this team-based game, and you have to do some objective. Obviously, it's Nintendo, so it's not going to be like a team deathmatch kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you're going to have some objective, and the first one to complete the objective or do most of the objective, like in Splatoon, like cover everything in ink, and that you're the winner. So it'd just be interesting to see if this is some kind of PvP team-based game. What is your objective? And then obviously your players are going to be Pokemon, so then you got to think, okay, well, what's the objective, and then what Pokemon fits that objective? Because with Pokemon Unite, yeah, it's like a little bit constricting, but you can almost do any Pokemon because any Pokemon can run around and do attacks. Whereas this game, obviously depends on what the objective is, but it definitely feels like it's going to be very focused to, you have to be a Pokemon that can run around a map and do something, which I don't think we're going to be running around as Giratina. So
yeah, it would be funny just walking around as a Giratina with an AK.
yeah,
What the fuck is this?
or any kind of like, or any Pokemon that's on four legs. This almost feels like, this doesn't feel like a game for a Pokemon on four legs. Now, granted, there are Pokemon on four legs in Unite as well. So once again, it depends on the objective and what you have to do. I swear though, like once we find out what the game is, there's gonna be just swarms of everyone like hoping for their favorite Pokemon.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, can you guys add Torchic? It's like, what? Some like
No,
weirdo.
you play the game because you need hands. Yeah, that takes out every Pokemon that doesn't have hands right out of the gate. So it'll be interesting to see like what the game is, and then what do they do. Like who can you actually play as because of certain limitations? Like, oh, like looking at the image right here in front of me. I shouldn't have said Giratina. I should have said like coughing.
Oh my god.
What do you do with a coughing?
There's a picture of a Goomba in a Mario baseball game holding a baseball bat. It's like,
True.
that doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I mean there is that, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see just for them to test something out because Pokemon Unite I thought was gonna die off, but it seems to be going pretty strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean Unite's doing well, and they want to try to get more Pokemon in everything, and it seems like they're trying to get like more developers like experimenting with the IP.
I'm just kind of glad it's not an MMO because that is a time sink that I don't think I want to get involved in.
Yeah, it's that thing where it's like I shouldn't play this, but like I should, and then you play it like for a day. It's like, oh no, I'm hooked.
Granted, that could happen with the Splatoon like as well. Granted, I thought that was going to happen with Unite. I thought Unite was going to become something that I go back to every once in a while. It's not.
Yeah, no, I saw Unite. It's like, nope, not happening. I do not play MOBAs.
It wasn't even the MOBA. It was just more like, I think what really drives it, and this is kind of like my thought process on most multiplayer games, is you need a dedicated group to make it fun. It's not fun to solo queue.
No, 100%. And then finally, we got stuff with TV and film. We don't have much to say on like Reload or Bauer, I don't think. Project Discovery is this Netflix live action. 8 episodes for the first season. Up to 5 seasons are being considered, and then no other details. A live action Pokemon project on Netflix? I mean, are you into that? It says up to 5 seasons. It's like, no, not on Netflix.
No, it really depends on what it is, because how do you do a live action Pokemon thing that
on a TV budget?
On a TV, granted, Netflix does pass around some high budgets. I mean, look at One Piece and all that.
Yeah.
But it just really depends on what the project is about, because I mean, we had Pokemon Concierge, which was really fun, and that's a whole different take on the Pokemon universe, where Pokemon are just casually just around, and at the heart of the series is just a person running their job. So if it's something like that where we kind of take a different look at the Pokemon universe, where it's not about a trainer going and fighting and becoming a good trainer, then I could see it possibly be kind of a hit, as you know, based on execution. And that's what I'm kind of expecting it to be, because if you're doing live action Pokemon, you're not going to have these big explosion trainer battles, because that's going to be really expensive. I mean, look at what happened with Detective Pikachu. That's not a battle focused movie, because that would have been way too much. So it's obviously they're going to go the Detective Pikachu route and the Pokemon Concierge route, where you're going to take a genre or an idea like a mystery or a woman on a job site, and you're just going to have Pokemon just around.
Yeah. I kind of like that idea, where you just basically create Pokemon in real life scenarios. And like it was kind of the best part of Detective Pikachu was just seeing stuff like Machamp working as like a crossing guard. It's like, oh, that's so cool. And speaking of Detective Pikachu, The Great Detective Pikachu, sequel to the Detective Pikachu movie, in development since 2021, directed by Jordan Vogt Roberts. Current status unclear, unknown if canceled. I mean, this is something that was kind of discussed a while back. Detective Pikachu didn't seem to do as well as they were expecting it to. So it was kind of the thought of like, oh, maybe they won't ever do a sequel. But now we're kind of hearing about this The Great Detective Pikachu. Do you think this is still a thing that is going to happen?
It's hard to say, because if they would have done it, they would have, at least we would have heard about it by now. This probably was just like pitched, and it's just now sitting on their shelf, be like, yeah, we're not going to invest that kind of money. That's what this feels like. So I'm looking at the director's IMDb right now, see what he's currently on right now. It looks like he mostly does TV, but he did do Kong Skull Island, which was interesting.
That was an awesome movie.
Yeah, so at least he has like experience dealing with a big CGI blockbuster kind of movie. But besides that, he apparently directed a live action trailer for Destiny 2.
I think I saw something also that he was on the Metal Gear Solid movie. Yeah, no, he is. He's directing a film based on Metal Gear, but that's been going through hell.
He also did a live action Gundam movie. I didn't even know there was a live action Gundam movie.
Yeah, I think that recently came out. Oh, no, it was announced that he would, and it's still not a thing.
He definitely seems like the right fit for it, but he definitely also seems very busy. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this is just sitting on the shelf. Like, this was like the pitch that whoever, I guess like a Legendary or something, probably pitched in there just to be like, yeah, I mean, it didn't make as much money as we hoped. And now the idea is just now sitting on their database on their shelf to never be touched again, or maybe touched again at some other point. Because you would think that, especially when you have someone like Ryan Reynolds as like your clear marketing front man, he would have said something
Mhm.
by now if like, yeah, we're gonna get that gang back together. We're gonna do Detective Pikachu 2. It's gonna be a great time.
Yeah,
But
the old
he's been super quiet on the whole project.
Yeah, it's interesting. Also, the shift in director is pretty fascinating to look at because Rob Letterman was originally the director for Detective Pikachu 1. And he did stuff like Monsters vs. Aliens, Shark Tales, Goosebumps, the live action one from like 2015, and Gulliver's Travels. And then he went into Detective Pikachu. And now he's kind of just been meandering around since then. It kind of makes me think like, okay, maybe they want to go from a kids movie director, which clearly he was like very much a kids movie director, and now they want to go for something a bit more serious. I don't know, like that. It's just a weird choice of director shift.
Yeah, I mean, at least they were. It does feel like that. Maybe it was supposed to be bigger and bolder of a movie, and they got someone who has clearly experience in a big action piece of who works with CGI a lot, like big CGI, because he's got Kong, he's got Gundam, he's
Mm-hmm.
got stuff like that. So he has that experience. So it makes sense. But obviously, something bigger and bolder like that is going to be more expensive, and Nintendo and Game Freak and whoever else is involved money wise are just kind of looking at it like, eh.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the thought. I think this thing probably is canceled. I would like to see a sequel because I enjoyed Detective Pikachu. It's not like a crazy good movie, but it's fun.
It's a good movie. It's just good.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, if we
Um,
want to, I think the interesting one is Project Bauer, though.
yeah, for sure. That's
Um, will be a
movie
fresh start for the
24.
movie universe with a new protagonist. What do you mean by that? It's an animated movie. I thought it was live action.
No. That's an animated movie because it's a movie 24. But honestly, the interesting part about Bauer here is in development hell since 2021 and current status unclear.
Yeah,
It's starting to feel like the anime division for Pokemon is getting really rough right now, especially with the anime industry in general in Japan kind of
the
struggling.
animated. With this almost now that I think about that, now that I noticed that it's supposed to be a fresh start for the movie universe with a new protagonist. It almost sounds like Pokemon once again getting away from Ash. They're gonna have Liko and the Pokemon Horizons take over the anime TV series with their story, and then they're gonna have like a new line of Pokemon movies where it's like it's their own their own series. Like it's not gonna have Liko or anyone from Horizon. It's gonna be its own thing, and it's gonna have their own story of like a trilogy or whatever, and it's gonna have its own story. So they have like almost two different protagonists running at the same time instead of Ash bouncing between the anime and the movies.
Yeah.
But set in Kanto, only the original 151 is definitely a choice.
It's always the original 151. Come on. Gen 1ers have too much power on this franchise, man.
They do because that nostalgia, because it can draw on all the old fans. Like, oh, I'm not really into the newer Pokemon, but oh, this movie only has the older Pokemon. Okay, I'll go see it because
Now,
there's people out there that would think that.
that's such a weird thought process, by the way, where it's like, no, I refuse to watch anything with Clink in it. It's like, what?
I think it's more like I don't know these Pokemon. I don't have attachment to these Pokemon. I stopped playing at Gen 3, 4, whatever. It's like I don't know these Pokemon. Why do I want to watch a movie with these Pokemon in it? I think it's that kind of mindset, which is like shallow.
Yeah, no, it's unfair, but it's also like very much that's something that they go with.
And it looks like it would be a movie based on something involving Mew as like the driving force behind it. Which if it makes a cool like like a treasure hunter kind of show or a movie, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I
Like
could see
hunting
this
down
being
Mew.
like I could see this being a fun one. Dude, I am so behind on Pokemon movies. I keep telling myself I would catch up, but I'm like, nah, I don't think I'm
Nah,
gonna
it's
ever
like
do it.
I got other things to watch.
Because like there was one based off like the monkey from Gen 7, no Gen
Yeah.
8.
Yeah, I didn't watch that. I think that's around the time I stopped watching the movies.
Yeah, because I think I stopped around like Gen 4 because I was like, I'm getting too old for this.
Yeah. I know I watched the Gen 5 ones. I remember watching the black and whites. I think that might have been the last one. Because that's also right. Black and white was also around the time I stopped watching the anime. I don't think I ever finished the black and white anime.
I don't blame you. The black and white anime was it was fine.
Oh, I hear the X and Y one was like fantastic.
Oh yeah, no, that's around when I stopped, and I really like the X and Y one. At
And
least
then
to an extent.
Project Reload, new original TV. Okay, it's anime. 12 episodes of 21 minutes. Nonsense. Yeah, this just
So
sounds like maybe they wanted to have just multiple projects of here's some anime shows, here's a movie line, and Now they're just like,
Yeah,
okay, let's just stick with Pokemon Horizons for now.
and I will say though, Colorado, they did Pokemon like anime stuff before, like actual like what was God? I just looked it up. Do you remember what Pokemon Origins?
Yeah.
I don't think
Oh,
that was Colorado actually. Now that I think about it,
I'm gonna
I
look at their
just looked
thing
it
right
up.
now.
Studio Colorado. That's it.
Oh, they did
They
Twilight
did
Wings.
Twilight Wings. That's what it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They've
Also, the
done
Twilight
stuff
Wings
with Pokemon
episodes.
before.
The Twilight Wings episodes are really good.
It makes me think maybe it's like, oh, why don't you guys actually do like a full on anime now?
They did
But yeah,
Poketunes.
Colorado's a cool studio. They did Burn the Witch as well, so it's like maybe they could actually like do something cool if it was like a 12-episode Pokemon series. I
Yeah.
don't even remember Poketune.
I think it's exclusive in Japan. It's like
Yeah.
the only reason I know about them is because the Cerebi website reports on them and like, oh, this seems cool, but they're like exclusively in Japan. They don't translate anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's weird. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything regarding the leaks. Is there any little tidbits you wanted to go over, or are we good to head out?
I think we're pretty good. I think we hit pretty much everything. As
I
I
guess
just
do you think this? I'll ask this. Do you think this something like this is going to happen in the future regarding like Nintendo or Game Freak, or are they going to try to really tighten up security moving forward?
I'm sure they're gonna try to tighten up, but as things progress, people will just get better at getting in. And something like this will happen again, whether it's Pokemon, but maybe. But I think stuff like this will happen. Like, what was the last like big leak? I mean, there was the Nvidia leak.
Insomniac League was
The
probably the last
Insomni
big one.
Insomniac was pretty big. That was just only big because it was all future projects. It wasn't. I don't think there was
I mean,
much old
there was
stuff in
some. There's actually a lot of like the stuff that I found most interesting. They had like sales data for every PlayStation game ever, and that was
there.
like
Oh wow.
weird, cool shit like that. And also, internal documents, meetings, small things like originally when they were doing the PlayStation layoffs, they were gonna lay off the Ratchet team, but Ted Price, who's the CEO of Insomniac, he fought very much against that and was like, no, 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 lay off like somewhere else. We need the Ratchet team. Which is
Yeah,
like, God, what a Chad.
like we need to keep these Ratchet games going, please.
I think it was more so because like the way he argued it was like, oh, the Ratchet team, they're the ones who understand our tech the most. So like we kind
True.
of need to keep them around, which is like, oh, that's a good point. But yeah, in general, I mean, like Insomniac Leak was probably the last major leak like this, and now it's getting to the point where it's like, okay, I bet Nintendo's like kind of looking around, like, let's employees make sure you don't give out your email or anything, because apparently this was a phishing leak,
That makes
which
sense.
is it's insane. Like, I just imagine a 63-year-old Game Freak employee getting into work and it's just like, oh, do I want to give my email to help this Nigerian prince? Okay. It's just like, okay, make sure you guys just don't email anyone ever for the rest of the time, please.
Yeah, that's a thing that we have at my job is we get these fake phishing emails. So everyone is like always on tap to like, how do you spot a phishing email so you don't give away your passwords and whatnot? And yeah, that's it. And that's when most hackers say like, when you actually talk to a hacker who talks about who knows this kind of stuff, it's less about like getting into the mainframe and tapping away at a keyboard and all that. No,
Mm-hmm.
it's mainly just sending out phishing emails and stuff like that. Is how you
Yeah,
get into these things.
hackers suck. But hey, at least because of this hack, we got to see Beta Zigzagoon, which was adorable. I couldn't find the image though on this Gen 3 concept art list. But anyways, I mean, I think that's pretty much everything. Like,
Yeah, I think that's mostly everything. Yeah.
obviously there's some other stuff there, but like we said, there's a very unorganized, just kind of overall discussion of everything. And obviously we couldn't use any images. We're probably gonna have to title this like, we are not discussing the Pokemon leak in this.
We are legitimately playing our Pokemon copy of Scarlet and Violet on our Switch.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, we'll try to be as secretive as possible because, oh man, it's already started affecting some channels. I saw some channels go like, yeah, I had all my videos deleted, or not all my, but like all my videos discussing the leak just outright deleted. Where it's like, oof. But yeah, Moon, thank you so much for joining me. I mean, you're the one who introduced us, so you can head us out.
All right, so hope you guys enjoyed. Whenever another giant leak happens, be sure to check us out because we'll be there too. Maybe if it's a if it's a topic that we find interesting, watch it be like the next big leak. Here's all the dev kits and the beta sprites of like the past NBA 2K games. Because like, no, I don't care.
Hey, Beef Hammer's gonna be on that one.
But hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know in the comments what your favorite beta sprite or beta fact or like dev fact that appeared out of all this, and we'll keep the discussion going because I'm pretty sure Nintendo wants this to die down. It's like, no, this stuff is interesting. We got to keep this in the discussion. But anyway,
100%.
hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you guys on the next episode of Slice of Gaming Podcast. See you guys then.
Bye bye.